We have a deeply ingrained instinct to show mercy once a fight is won. When an opponent is pinned to the mat, the honorable thing to do is to step back, offer a hand, and try to build a bridge. But history suggests that treating a defeated rival with grace is a strategic trap. Nursing a damaged ego or leaving a humiliated competitor in the arena is like walking past a half-dead viper. Give it enough time, and the venom only grows stronger. To see exactly how this dynamic plays out, we have to look at a political vacuum that opened up in 208 BC. Two massive armies were dispatched to conquer the powerful, splendid kingdom of Qin. Leading the northern front was Yang Yu. He came from nobility, a massive, physically imposing warrior prone to bouts of violence, who preferred fighting his enemies face-to-face on the front lines. Marching from the south was Liu Peng. Born a peasant, he had little interest in combat and spent more time chasing wine than glory. But he survived by being wily and surrounding himself with brilliant strategists. These two men started out as allies, but whoever captured the capital city of Xiangyang first would take supreme command of the empire. The finish line instantly turned former friends into bitter competitors. What happens next reveals the inner workings of power. Their clash exposes the strategic trap that awaits a leader who prioritizes honor and mercy over the total elimination of a threat. On paper, it shouldn't have been a contest. Xiang Yu commanded the superior military force. He outmaneuvered Liu Peng, eventually capturing the capital, murdering the reigning prince, and burning the city to the ground. Yet, when he finally had the chance to finish his rival, something strange happened. Xiang Yu invited Liu to a banquet, planning to have him beheaded during a sword dance. But as the moment approached, a lingering sympathy for his old comrade paralyzed him. He hesitated, and Liu slipped away into the night. Months later, the two clashed again. Shang captured Liu's father and dragged him to the front lines, screaming across the battlefield that he would boil the old man alive if Liu didn't surrender. Liu calmly shouted back that since they were sworn brothers, it was Shang's father too, so he should send over a bowl of the soup. Shang backed down again. Liu Peng operated on a completely different psychological wavelength. He knew that severe rivalries cannot be reconciled. While Shang Yu was trying to force a public, honorable submission, Liu used that exact desire for a clean victory as a distraction. Outnumbered and starved of supplies, Liu sued for peace. He offered a false treaty that gave Shang the acknowledgement he craved. Satisfied that he had won the psychological war, Shang let his guard down and relaxed his defensive garrison. The moment the ink was dry, Liu launched a surprise attack. He showed zero mercy, slaughtering the retreating army and putting a bounty on his former friend's head. Cornered, alone, and out of options, Shang Yu slit his own throat. Shang Yu lost his empire because he wanted to prove his superiority and force his enemy to kneel. Liu Peng simply wanted his enemy to disappear, and only absolute elimination secures the throne. This rule of survival transcends ancient history. In the late 1930s, nationalist leader Chiang Kai-shek nearly wiped out the Chinese Communist Party, reducing their numbers from 75,000 to fewer than 10,000 soldiers. But in 1937, Chiang made a lethal miscalculation. Deciding that this battered remnant was no longer a threat, he called off the hunt to focus his forces entirely on the invading Japanese army. He let the surviving communists flee into the mountains. A decade later, that smoldering ember caught the wind. Mao Zedong used that breathing room to rebuild, recruit, and eventually rout the nationalist forces, permanently exiling Chiang's entire regime to the island of Taiwan. Conversely, those who internalize the mechanics of power rarely lose it. In the 7th century, Wu Chao entered the Chinese imperial harem, an environment where young concubines were quickly replaced and discarded. She navigated her way to the throne not through diplomacy, but through absolute eradication. Over several decades, she systematically accused, exiled, poisoned, or executed every single rival who posed a threat, even smothering her own newborn and poisoning her own sons to eliminate competing claims to the dynasty. Her 40-year reign was one of the longest and most stable in the region's history. She understood that true security remains out of reach as long as a rival maintains any capacity to breathe, bide their time, and plot revenge. The ultimate function of power is to control your circumstances. If you engage in a bitter rivalry, inflict deep wounds, and then agree to a negotiated peace, you are simply giving your opponent time to heal. In a modern professional or political context, annihilation rarely involves literal violence. It means the absolute removal of a rival's agency. Modern strategic banishment involves severing their access to capital, isolating their social network, and structuring your victory legally and professionally until they are completely disconnected, with absolutely zero leverage left to use against you. If you stop halfway, you invite disaster. Following World War I, the Allied powers opted for a harsh but ultimately incomplete punishment of Germany through the Treaty of Versailles, forcing a negotiated surrender. They imposed massive financial reparations, but left the state's industrial core and national identity intact. That partial leniency gave an embittered, humiliated nation just enough room to operate, rebuild, and eventually exact a horrific revenge decades later. Every time you leave a remnant of an enemy alive out of pity, you are providing the materials for your own destruction. If you leave even one ember alight, a fire will eventually break out. Either crush the viper completely, or do not engage at all.